The Duke Blue Devils are one of the biggest names in all of college basketball, and the NBA is filled with players who once played for Coach K. They haven't won it all in March Madness lately, but that might be because their top-rated recruiting classes often end up leaving college a little bit early. But what would happen if Duke basketball players exclusively played for their own NBA team once they left college? And with 26 current NBA players to choose from, let's see just how dominant Duke basketball can be against the entire NBA. And let me know in the comments section if you think that this Duke team is good enough to win it all in the NBA Finals. To get things started, you can't win an NBA championship without star players. And the Duke Blue Devils have some of the best of them, starting with Kyrie Irving, who only played 11 games in a Duke uniform and still was the #1 pick in the NBA draft. But now he's an all-star and an NBA champion. And at both forward positions are two more all-stars, Jayson Tatum and Brandon Ingram. And Jayson Tatum already led his team, the Boston Celtics, to the NBA Finals. And in the new era of the NBA, Duke is prepared to play small ball because they could start Zion Williamson. Need I say more? When he's healthy, his dominance is undeniable, and the starting lineup would conclude with RJ Barrett, who is just a 20-point scorer in the NBA. But this Duke squad would also have some very high-quality role players and arguably better shooting off the bench than just about anyone else in the NBA, starting with Seth Curry. But Gary Trent Jr., Grayson Allen, Tyus Jones, and Cam Reddish could come in off the bench and prove themselves to be quality marksmen. And they'll get a lot of space playing with all those scorers. And off the bench, forget about small ball, because they've also got Wendell Carter Jr., Marvin Bagley III, and Mason Plumlee to play in the middle. With that rotation, Duke can space the floor, shot create, and score inside with just about anyone. And you can't really double on them because they've got way too many scorers. And by the way, I didn't even mention the rookies, because the #1 pick in this year's NBA draft was Paolo Banchero, and he's from Duke. But they've still got 2 more first-round picks they can round out their roster with, Adrian Griffin Jr. and Mark Williams. That's added shooting and added size. That's already 14 men, so whoever the GM is will have to figure out who to pick up as the last guy on the roster, and maybe some two-way contracts. That last guy could be anyone. Trey Jones, Austin Rivers, Justice Winslow, Luke Kennard. It doesn't really matter because they ain't gonna play much. And for the two-way contracts, you probably boil it down to Wendell Moore Jr., Jalen Johnson, Frank Jackson, Vernon Carey Jr. Once again, they ain't gonna play much, so it really don't matter. But if this team played an entire season, you'd have 3 All-Star Game starters on the team. And just imagine a world where Brandon Ingram, RJ Barrett, and Paolo Banchero are your 4th, 5th, and 6th scoring options. You'd have lottery-talented bigs to bring in off the bench, and of course, an abundance of shooting, led by Seth Curry, Gary Trent Jr., but they're not the only ones. I say this Duke team could definitely win it all. Their only real problem is that no more than 3 or 4 of these players ever actually played for Duke at the same time, so they'd have to learn how to work together. But love them or hate them, Duke basketball is one of the best in the game, and they've got all the talent in the world to prove it. But let me know in the comments which players you'd cut, which ones you'd keep, and which players you'd start to make your Duke basketball NBA championship run.